to go ahead and get started. I don't want to wait. Emily's too phenomenal, and that's my favorite word, so you'll hear me say it a lot. And I don't want to wait. We want to just go ahead and get started. So let me introduce not only our speaker, but our president-elect. So I'm going to read this so I don't mess it up. Because I was reading over it, and I was just like, rah, rah, rah. So I want to share everything about Emily. Welcome. If this is your first time, we're glad to have you. Hey, Karen, haven't seen you in a long time. Good to see you. Let me see faces first. AMG, can you take me back for a second so I can see faces? There's Karen. Hi. We got Debbie Ash, we got Mindy, we got Renee, we got Jane. Hey, Shannon, how are you? We got Penny, we got Julie, we got Holly in the background. She always takes good care of us. Let's see somebody else. Elizabeth. For some reason, it's not letting me see everybody, but hold on one second. We're going to fix that on my end.
And there you go. I can see you again. The little arrow to go to the next screen, Carnell.
I found it. Don't tell anybody I have a computer science degree, okay? My undergraduate degree is in computer science, but I do so much stuff. I can't keep up with all these Zooms and Skypes and all of that, but it's wonderful. Hey, Sarah. Hey, good to see you. I think I covered everybody. Renee, that my middle name is Renee, so I'll never forget that. Paula. Good to see Erica. There you go. I was like, now I saw you at the beginning and then you disappeared. We are so glad to have you. This is going to be great. I'm going to stop talking. Let me introduce our fabulous president-elect, Emily Parks. Our presenter today, just told you that, she is your partner for making every minute matter. As a productivity consultant and founder of Organize for Success, Emily has helped hundreds of busy, get that word, busy, multi-passionate business owners, executives, and teams stop the endless frustrations of being overwhelmed, to help you clarify priorities and gain the best tailored time management tools to efficiently get done what really matters. And then this is a part that really just perked my ears up. Since 2007, she has spoken for thousands, contributed to media nationwide, written powerful books on personalized productivity, and become a leader in several organizations, including our very own Novel Greater Raleigh chapter, as well as the Raleigh Chamber and the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals. Among several honors, she's been recognized with the Triangle Business Journal's 40 Under 40 Leadership Award. Let's give her a hand for that one. And she serves as an Evernote certified consultant. She holds a bachelor's degree in psychology from Wake Forest University and a certificate from the Institute for Professional Organizers. But that's not all she does. She does a whole lot of stuff behind the scenes. Beyond work, Emily thrives by integrating the various aspects of her life. A loving and supportive aunt, daughter, and friend. Emily is possibly known best for being an extremely avid sports fan. She's going to tell you all about that. You can best believe that. Plus, with her love for catchy tunes, you often hear Emily living her life in music lyrics. Emily is passionately committed to ending lung cancer and partners with local nonprofits to make the world a much better each day. Before we welcome her, there is also some other stuff she does. She works with a lot of young ladies in her sorority. She does stuff that you don't even know about. And so I'm excited. Can't you tell? I'm excited because I love her. I respect her so much. And she does a lot behind the scenes. She doesn't have public policy down here, but she does a lot with government. And I'm so excited to introduce to some that have never met her and to welcome her with open arms, Emily Parks.
Thank you so very much, Carnella. I am super excited to be able to share with everybody the 8 productivity power plays that you can master in minutes. And I'm going to start our slideshow. If anyone is having a hard time seeing it, I also have the chat pulled up. So send me a SOS and we will figure out your tech issues. But I think we've all been feeling the pains and challenges of the time in which we're living. And I think that with the combination of a global pandemic, economic challenges, climate change, our social reckoning with inequities and making sure that we're able to move forward in unity with diversity, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of psychological research just coming together as we work through this about the impact that this is having not only on health and well-being, but just the way our brain is functioning in the midst of all of this. And so I think this discussion, not only to kick off the new year in the second month of 2021, but also to kind of realign and make sure that we are continuing to strive for success and move forward with being productive in the midst of everything that's going on. So I wanted to start with a basic definition. When we're talking about these productivity practices and plays that you can put into practice, we are talking about efficiently working to effectively achieve results desired for all elements of life. That includes work, that includes home, that includes community and society, that includes self-care, and how all of these come together to make sure you're achieving your big, hairy, audacious goals. So I like to look at the overlap of certain elements that I liken to be the equation that creates success with productivity. So optimum productivity is where our focus is at its greatest, our investment of our time is at its greatest, and we have the greatest energy needed for accomplishing the task at hand. So you'll notice on the screen, I've got it pointing into that area where they all overlap. So when we're talking about this definition, I want to get some engagement with you and some thoughts from you about what productivity means to you. So if you mouse over the menu bar type thing for your Zoom, you should see things like mute or unmute, stop or start video. And then there should be an option. It's either under view options or you'll see something that says annotate. If you'll select that annotate option, and I want you to pick the drawing option within your annotate tool, and I want you to either underline or circle which elements that you see on the screen right now that you think are most important or that you are struggling with the most right now. Did everybody find the annotate successfully? Okay, it looks like focus is speaking to a lot of people. Does anyone want to share what about focus spoke to them the most? And you'll need to unmute yourself. Or anybody for which time spoke to you, because that looks like a, yes, default multitasking. Oh, yes. It's amazing how divided energy in multitasking takes away the fuel that moves us forward. So absolutely, the multitasking is sort of the recipe for disaster when it comes to productivity. I will say simultasking is something I do encourage with people, and that would be if you're able to focus on something but have something else happen in the background that you're not focusing on. So you're accomplishing two things, but you're not having to divide your focus. I love the constantly having things running in the background. That's great, Sarah. Competing priorities. Oh yes, Sandy. It's hard to look at the to-do list and not think you have to get everything done at once. And hashtag all the things it's a definitely detrimental term that we have floating around in social media. Yes, working from home is a major pain point for focus, Paula. Absolutely. Between the social media distractions, political, absolutely. Little side note tidbit for that focus with all those distractions. I oftentimes encourage people, if you feel like something is distracting you from what needs your attention right now, go ahead and schedule time to focus on it later. And then that way you can block it out for now so that you can focus in on what needs your attention right then. Oh yes, working parents, because you've got the kid asking constantly, when am I going to get the attention? When's it my turn? When's it my turn? Absolutely. Thank you all for engaging with that. I appreciate it. And if I'm going to try, let's stop sharing and let's start again. Fantastic. Okay. So today we're talking about 8 productivity plays. And I'm going to go into elaboration of each, but feel free to have a pop-up within the chat of a question as things go along. And I'll keep my eye on the chat screen so that if any concerns come up, if you're thinking of a question, likely someone else is thinking of the same question. So don't hesitate to ask. But number 1, the sum of the parts in your life is greater than any individual element. I'm going to say that again. The sum of the parts in your life is greater than any individual element. What do I mean by that? Well, so many people come up and say, oh, I've got to achieve work-life balance. Well, newsflash, there's not a seesaw in your life where something is going to go up and something else is going to go down. It is best designed for optimum productivity when those various layers complement one another. They integrate with one another. They create a harmony in your life such that they can play well with one another. Now, is there going to be challenge or flexibility or fluidity within that relationship? Absolutely. But things that you learn through work goals help with home goals. Things that you can achieve with home goals can help with building up your community and goals with society. So there is actually an entire department at the Wharton School of Business in the University of Pennsylvania that is totally devoted to work-life integration. And what the Wharton School of Business has found is that within our beings, we typically will have goals for work, we have goals for home, we have goals for community and society, and then we have goals for self-care, whether it be helping our mind, our body, or our spirit. But making sure that we're aware of those various goals and how they can complement one another and work together is the first step to not feeling like they're competing with one another. The competition is what makes us feel like we can't achieve what we really want to achieve. So, example. This is Jennifer Dulski, who at the time she gave this quote was president and CEO for change.org. If you're not familiar with change.org, it is an online petition website. So people create a petition, then they send out links to their friends and family, and they have people signing it. Well, when the Wharton School of Business talked with Jennifer, she was explaining that I'm still a parent when I walk into work. and I still lead a company when I come home. So if my daughter's school calls with a question in the middle of a meeting, I'm going to take the call. And if a viral petition breaks out on change.org in the middle of dinner, I probably want to take that call and be aware of that too. As she points out, I have accepted that work and life are layers on top of each other with rotating levels of emphasis. And I have benefited from celebrating that overlap rather than trying to force it apart. It's in the harmony, the collaboration, the synergy between our layers that we multi-passionate, busy business owners are really able to achieve our goals. So how can work-life integration help? Well, there's some key elements to that. First is that you need to strategically invest your time. You each day have 1,440 minutes. That's it. 1,440 minutes. And within that 1,440 minutes, you have to sleep and eat and bathe and brush your teeth and exercise and solve all the world's problems. So you look at it and think, oh my goodness, how can I possibly squeeze everything into that 1,440 minutes? Well, you can't squeeze everything, but if you plan out certain buckets of time that can be devoted to certain things, number one, you have assigned time to get them done, which makes them more likely to get done. But number two, you have a plan of attack and you can get more done within that strategically invested time than being at the whim of others' priorities. Similarly, work-life integration helps when you aim for four-way wins. So when we talk about a four-way win, that would be an activity that fuels desired results for home, for work, for community, and for self-care all at once. Is a four-way win super duper likely? No. We live in the real world. You probably won't be getting wins in all the elements of your life at once. However, if you're aiming for four-way wins, you can succeed with a three-way win. Like, for example, if you walk the dog outside while listening to a work-related podcast. So you are attending to the home goal of exercising your dog. You are attending to self-care because you're getting exercise and vitamin D, and you are attending to a work goal through professional development as you listen to the podcast. Similarly, it could be a walking meeting or taking a conference call while you're walking, but thinking outside the box about how can you achieve goals for multiple elements of your life means that as you're strategically investing that time, it's really working hard for you instead of you working hard for everybody else's goals. We want to make sure that your tools and your time, your energy, and your focus is helping you instead of working against you. Super duper important for how work-life integration helps is focusing on outcomes over activities. What are you trying to achieve? What activities will get you to those desired outcomes? And then how can you schedule those activities to achieve the desired outcomes? What this really is saying, like the underlying message of focus on outcomes over activities, is don't go to a meeting because you should be there. Don't do something because you should do it. We as Americans are shoulding all over ourselves. So we should stop shoulding. I know. I played on words there. But anyway, the key is focusing on what you could do and what activities will fuel those outcomes you're looking for rather than where you need to be seen. It's not about others' expectations. It's about what do you want to achieve and what activities will get you into that. Sarah, I'm so glad to hear that you just had training on shoulding already today. Fantastic. It's definitely something that more and more of us are becoming aware of existing. Like that inner voice that's telling us, oh, but you should be doing this. Okay, if I should be doing that, what outcome is it going to give me that's going to fuel my goals? Or am I there for somebody else's expectation or somebody else's goal? It needs to be about what your priorities are, what your big, hairy, audacious goals are. And probably most importantly, but most misunderstood, is that work-life integration helps when you adopt boundaries that work for you. That means you're not accepting society's arbitrary boundaries. Society says we should work 9 to 5. Well, I have a lot of clients that doesn't work for them. Maybe they work 7:30 to noon, then they have a workout class at lunchtime, then they may have a brainstorming coffee with a friend, and then they work again from like 4 to 7. Or they may work from 7:30 to 2 or 8 to 2, and then spend time with their kids in the afternoon and come back and check back in after dinner when the kids are going to bed. Flexibility, fluidity, understanding what works for you is going to make your time serve your goals and get you to greater results for work, for home, for society and community, as well as your mind, body, and spirit. Because this is about what matters to you, not what matters to other people. Oh, yes, Erica, absolutely. Personalizing it. So many of my clients, we have that conversation of, well, why did you get into business? I got into business so that I could be in control of my calendar. I had a great conversation with someone recently, and we were talking about the fact that the person you are scheduling an appointment with, they can't see what those appointments are on your calendar that are blocking your time. So if you have a big project coming up, schedule those appointments with yourself so that time is allocated to getting the work done, and let other people schedule around that. You're going to be available to them. It's just you're making time on your calendar. You're strategically investing your time in those goals so that you can achieve your desired outcomes and achieve those wins within the boundaries that work for you. Yes, Olala, what matters, not what should matter. There's that S word again. Number 2, what you do once matters, but what you do repeatedly matters more. This is where we get into that wonderful discussion about routines versus tasks. What you do every day, every week, every month, every quarter, those are the muscle memory actions that are building progress step by step. For example, your morning routine. I challenge you to actually list out what do you want to accomplish to set a foundation for success each morning. Maybe it's light a candle and journal your gratitude. Maybe it's moving your body. Maybe you stretch or you do yoga or you dance to some happy tunes. Maybe you get outside and soak in some vitamin D. Or y'all, I have started using this happy light as I'm journaling in the morning, soaking up that vitamin D. It's amazing what a good mood it puts me in. So maybe you have on your morning routine list to eat a filling and healthy breakfast. Or maybe it's to make sure that you fine tune that day's 3 to 5 must-do tasks. Yeah, you'll likely do more than 3 to 5 items, but research shows that if we plan for 3 to 5 items, we get more done and we don't beat ourselves up for not doing the 50 things on our list and only getting 15 done. So what are those priorities? Do you invest time each morning in listing those out? Yes, Carnella, meditation is huge. Just quieting those inner voices so that you're recentered and set up for success throughout the day. Another great routine to think about is your evening. How do you end your day? Are you ending your day with the next in mind? Are you ending your day so you're at peace, prepared to rest, so you fill your cup and you're ready to go at it the next day? Maybe your evening routine will include drinking a cup of hot, non-caffeinated tea. You know, there is hot tea that's caffeinated. What a concept. Maybe it's making sure that your outfit is ready for tomorrow. Like, does it need to be steamed? Are there alterations that you forgot you needed to take it to get done? Or does it have a spot on it from the last washing that didn't come out? Well, you want to be aware of that before the franticness of the next morning. So if you lay all that out the night before, you know what you need. Maybe your evening routine includes infusing your space with calming essential oils or adjusting your thermostat to be cooler. I have started using a weighted blanket to really calm me. And so making sure my thermostat is lower and then putting on the weighted blanket is key for getting me ready for really good sleep. And then that meditation app. Oh yes, I love the sweatpants, making sure that you're ready for the next day. Hey, Sandy, top up, we're zooming, babe. And Erica, yes, I love the morning routine being based on outcomes and not specific activities. Absolutely. Focusing on results. Yes. One other routine you might want to consider is time blocking. There's a lot of research that shows that if we group similar tasks together, we can get through them more quickly. So maybe you knock out all your phone calls back to back, or you knock out processing your email inbox. So you're dealing with email back to back. Maybe it's all your strategic thinking at one time, or maybe it's editing. If you're a writer, you want to make sure that you edit multiple things while you're in that mode. But the key is this phrase that I repeat every day. Every what needs a when to get done. So if you've got time on your calendar addressing a specific action item, then you can't say, I'm going to get to it someday, because shocker, I have yet to find a calendar that has someday on it. I even have wonderful sign I keep nearby every day that says someday is not a day of the week, because you're not going to get it done someday. You're going to get it done when there is a specific time associated. Yes, Alala, those time blocks, they're the best tool. Now, the time block typically works really well with one of two different options. The Pomodoro method is where you work diligently, turn off all distractions. So if phone goes to voicemail, shut down the email inbox unless you're doing email. Make sure that you've got a do not disturb sign on the door, things like that, for 25 minutes. Then you spend the next 5 minutes catching up on all those things. You can do the Pomodoro method back to back, but make sure that you're focused for that 25-minute block. The other time blocking option I really like is the rule of 52 and 17. I know it would be so much easier if they did like 50 and 15, but what it is showing through research is that if you work diligently for 52 minutes and then do something completely different for the next 17 minutes, you'll be super duper productive. So I have a client that works really hard on her computer for 52 minutes while a load of laundry is running. And then her 17 minutes is where she goes and either moves it from washer to dryer or hangs things up or whatever. But making sure that your 52 minutes and your 17 minutes are completely different functionality. I like to encourage people, if your 52 minutes is in front of your computer, Use your 17 to go somewhere else. Maybe it's run the stairs in your house or your office building. Maybe it's walking around the block. Maybe it's doing jumping jacks. Maybe it's jumping rope. I've got several clients who have picked up jump rope sets. And so their break in between each time block is to do a set of jumping or do some jump roping. And there's a company based in Durham that does weighted jump ropes. And so they're able to get sort of a strength and cardio workout simultaneously right there in their office. It's like perfect. So making sure that you pick what tasks need to be addressed and which time blocking method works for you. And then my favorite tool is a timer. By setting that timer, you build momentum by getting started. If you're competitive like me, you might work against the clock and try to see if you can beat your time you did it last time. But the bottom line is you'll work more efficiently in that shorter sprint than if you had all afternoon to get something done. Good, bad, or indifferent. If you have all afternoon to do something, it will take all afternoon to get it done. So pick your time block, set the timer, and work against it. If you work very well with visuals, there is an app as well as a physical timer option that's called Time Timer. Time Timer, when you set it to the time needed, it gives red coloring for the number of minutes. So you don't have to calculate like a digital timer, what's 5 minutes or what's 10 minutes. You just watch the red disappear as your time starts to run out. But there's power behind that color. Color motivates behavior, so let's use it. So then we get to number 3 of our 8. I love this one. Your brain is meant for thinking, not remembering, which is why you need to document it all. Let's talk a little deeper about the psychology behind this. Back when numbers were first started, they were 2 letters and 5 numbers. The 2 letters you didn't have to remember because they were geographic specific. So if you were calling locally or calling to certain regions regularly, you knew what those letters were. So you were only remembering the 5 numbers. Then they went to 7 digits. Then we started challenging our brain. Now that we're on 10 digits, thank goodness for our devices because our brains can't keep up. Similarly, memory tests. So the short blast test is a popular memory test that they give to kind of test your dementia. And but then children also get given memory tests for their IQ. And so typically you are given no more than 3 or 4 items. Then you do an activity and then you're asked to regurgitate those 3 or 4 items. It's not more than 3 or 4 items because research shows repeatedly we cannot remember more than that. Our brain is designed for thinking creatively, strategically, but it's not designed to remember. So here, this is your permission slip to stop beating yourself up for forgetting something. Your brain's not meant to remember, so it's going to forget. It's not a reliable capture tool. It's just not designed for that. And writing something down, it incorporates the visuals. You see the words after they're written. You have the auditory of kind of thinking through the word or saying it as you're writing it or hearing somebody say it. And then there's the kinesthetic of writing it. So you typically remember a little better what you write, but your brain is meant for thinking, not remembering. So document everything. I'm not going to berate you about whether it should be electronic or should be paper. The key is that it's not your brain. There is a test. It's an online assessment. It's called the VARK learning style. Going online, you can take it for free. You just have to search VARK learning style. Taking that online assessment will help you determine how your brain thinks. So some brains work better with paper. Some brains work better with electronic. There is nothing wrong with either of those. It's just a matter of picking what works best for you. And Wendy, I'm so glad that you asked about the Rocketbook or Remarkable, because I was actually on the next screen. Well, next screen after this, going to talk about that. So stay tuned. If when you take the VARK learning style test, you find that you lean more towards electronic capture tools, consider one of the knowledge management tools to help in your remembering. Capturing notes, capturing checklists, capturing process flows, capturing articles that you've read somewhere that you want to keep, but you don't need another piece of paper floating around. If you are a Microsoft user, you will probably gravitate towards this one on the left, which is Microsoft OneNote. If you are a Google user and you spend a lot of time in your Gmail, your Gtasks, your Google Calendar, all those kind of things, you will likely lean towards Google Keep. The one that is not particular about platform and plays nicely with everyone would be Evernote. And so Evernote is actually going through a rebuild throughout 2020, 2021. And so they are making sure that the product is built to function the same across everything. So it's going to function the same on your PC as on your Mac, on your Android as on your iPhone. And that's amazing, because it's very rare to find things that actually function the same across all your devices. So there's not necessarily a right or wrong. There is what mixes with the tools you're already using and makes it easier for you to capture, not in your brain. Your brain is not a reliable capture tool because it's meant for thinking, not remembering. Yes, Erica Brown had a great question. She asked in the chat about, does Evernote integrate with any project management tools? And yes, I actually integrate my Evernote tool with Asana, but if you check evernote.com, it is an evolving list. So you can do a quick search for the most up-to-date list of integrations. And there are plenty of integrations between Evernote and different project management or task management tools that work fantastically. And I am a huge proponent of integrations, automation, making sure things speak to one another and work smoothly. Yay, Wendy, I'm so glad that was helpful. And if you take the VARK learning style test and find that paper is a better alternative, there are some options that work best in both worlds. So for example, you can have that like you're writing on paper. It may be on your tablet screen, but you're going through the writing motion. So you have that kinesthetic element of remembering things, but it keeps it in your Google, Evernote, or Dropbox, or, you know, an electronic tool to save your information. So Rocket Notebook is a great option. I love having the paper LiveScribe notebook that I use an electronic pen with. And then by using that pen to write on the paper notebook, it feeds it through Wi-Fi to my electronic tools. You'll notice the picture at the bottom of this screen with the notebook and the little pen, and it's got like yellow lines sticking out of that. That is an example of the LiveScribe set, or one of the LiveScribe sets. And the reason those yellow lines are sticking out of it is because it records the sound as you're taking your notes. So for example, I've had clients with children going to high school or college that get permission from their teacher or professor before they're recording the lesson. And then if their notes get illegible somewhere along the way, they can double check the audio recording to make sure that the notes match what was actually said, or they can fill in the blanks. I know I have instances where my writing is less legible than other times. So sometimes it's nice to have that audio backup so that I can go, oh, wait, I have no idea what I wrote here. Let me double check and see what I was actually supposed to take away from this. And yes, Olala, it's wonderful to have like a capture tool that might be in digital or paper, and then maybe you actually organize and use the information on another platform. So digital to manage your time, paper to manage your life, but you're able to have one viewpoint to see what needs to be seen when you need to see it. Oh yes, Wendy, Otter is fantastic. Otter is an app on your phone that if you're in a meeting and you are taking handwritten notes during the meeting, Otter will actually record it and transcribe it as you go. Now, Wendy makes a great point, and then I like to actually be writing as Otter is doing its thing, because sometimes the transcription by Otter needs a little massaging, but it's always good to have that backup plan. So absolutely, options are a good thing. And yes, Erica, Notability is fantastic to have that same record and write option. And then you'll also notice on the screen the sort of middle image of the stylus with the circle at the bottom. That's the Adonit Jot stylus. And that is one of my favorite styluses because I'm not depending on the point of the stylus to make a direct connection with the tablet screen. It's that plastic circle that is making sure that the point has a solid connection to the screen and thereby captures the information better. Number 4, as we're talking about our productivity plays, planning your time shields you from the distractions of others' priorities. We talked about not shooting all over ourselves. Well, the best way to make sure that you are laser focused on what matters to you instead of someone else is to have a plan. Is it going to have ebbs and flows? Absolutely. Life throws us curveballs, but it's a whole lot harder to adjust when you don't have a plan for where you're going than if you have a plan that needs to get adjusted, tweaked, moved around, and changed. Time is your most limited resource. Your time is not like money. Like you can go put money into the stock market and you expect to get more dollars back from that dollar that you put in the stock market. With your time, you spend a minute and you expect to get something else in return. You're not getting that minute back. The takeaway is, if you say yes to doing something, so you say yes to one way of investing your time, you are saying no to anything else using those minutes. So what we say yes to for our time investment has to be of utmost importance, or return on investment for work, for home, for community, or for our mind, body, and spirit. We can only spend each minute once. We don't get it back a second time. I absolutely love this quote from Benjamin Franklin. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. In my intro, Carnella mentioned my love of sports. So I always see this parallel between planning for an athletic event and planning for my life. So there is no team out there that is going to go into a game without scouting the competition, determining what plays will optimize their strengths, determining what plays will highlight the opponent's weaknesses, and that get the game started the way they want it to be started. Now, there's going to be timeouts. There's going to be ends of periods for hockey, or quarters for football, or halftime for basketball. So you're going to pivot, you're going to tweak, you're going to make adjustments. but it's the same as your week. If you don't start with a plan, you have nothing to adjust. And the sad thing is, if you don't start with a plan that prioritizes your goals, then you are a boat that's floating with the wind of everybody else's priorities. You're at their beck and call. You are adjusting your life to meet all the shoulds out there instead of what you could do to better fuel your desired results. When I talk about planning, you're going to have a data dump of information. It could be your running to-do list, so all those tasks that have to be done in your life, or all the calendar commitments that are coming up, or hashtag all the things. Well, if you take that data dump of information and you feed it through your priorities and your values, two things I keep nearby all the time. What are my goals? What am I looking to achieve? What's my word of the year? And what are my core values? When I filter that data dump of information through my priorities and values, I can fine tune down to what is this week's strategy? What's my game plan for the next 7 days? I do my weekly strategy session on Sundays. I have clients that do it on Wednesdays because maybe they have a team meeting on Tuesday or Thursday and they want to line up their planning around the team meeting each week. The key thing is you plan, because you cannot filter that weekly plan into your daily plans if you don't start with the weekly. Now, the beauty of having a plan is that at the end of each day, you can do what I call my checkup from the neck up. And I look at how the day went, and I look at what I have planned for the next day. And I say, okay, these were today's 3 to 5 things, and I got 2 of them done. So when are the other ones going to get done? Because remember, every what that has a win is more likely to get accomplished. So if it didn't get done today, when will it get done specifically? What are my calendar commitments for tomorrow? What are my time commitments for tomorrow? What are my to-dos? What are my checkpoints, touch points? Whatever is on your radar, is it realistic? Or does it need to be adjusted? Only when you have a plan can you make adjustments to the plan. So your planning is a starting point. And the beauty of this is your plan can be your protective shield. So it's with that plan that you can repel off the shoulds or their priorities or the expectations or what you've always done. One of the first questions I ask when I'm working with a client is, okay, why do you do it this way? Because if the answer is, well, I do it that way because we've always done it that way, that's an opportunity for a deep dive. Because if it's not fueling your desired outcomes, is it a strategic investment of your time that will get you to a win? Or is it wasting your minutes when you only have 1,440 in the day? So plan. It's not just about you planning though. I always include this caveat because your plan is also about communicating and collaborating. So you'll see this graphic on the side. This is someone who has taken that weekly strategy session that she does with herself and expanded it with her spouse. So every Sunday morning, they compare their calendars to make sure they kind of know where the ships are passing in the night. They collaborate on the meal planning. They collaborate on the kids' schedule. So who's getting which kid where for what time commitment? How is that going to work out? And then they together pull that meal plan into a grocery shopping list. Now, she typically goes and does the shopping, but at least she knows when she's doing the shopping that they're on the same page about what's happening. Maybe your communication and collaboration is with a roommate. Maybe it's with your business partner. Maybe it's with someone that helps in your neighborhood that you need to update on something that's going to be changing for the week ahead. But when you're creating your strategy, I want you to think about who else is impacted by that and how can you incorporate them in the planning process to make sure that your next week goes as smoothly as possible. Planning up front eliminates hiccups in the end, although we all know, lesson from 2020, if not from before, you can pivot, you can change, you can tweak, but it's so much easier to edit a plan that already exists than to go along and figure it out as you go. Next productivity play is 5, and it is always include a focus on having lofty squad goals. Y'all, my squad is paramount importance for my success. When I talk about squad, I'm talking about a group, a gang, a team, a sisterhood that's united in a common identity or bonded by a sense of solidarity. They've got my back. They're going to help me be better. Well, what does that mean for productivity? And why do I say these are my secret weapon to being more productive? Well, your squad boosts your productivity by deeply loving the person that you are. These people know who you really are. Those deep down their desires, your heart, your strengths, what your calling is. And they love it and they support it and they know that you are who you are, and that is a wonderful gift to the world. Second, they push you to level up when needed. Maybe they challenge you to take a risk, or maybe they encourage you to go after that account that you really want to add, or maybe they caution you when necessary, or maybe they push you to be bigger, better, stronger, more bad than anything else. So make sure you're surrounding yourself with those people who push you to level up when needed. Your squad boosts your productivity by providing a supportive sounding board. Maybe it's helping you brainstorm. Maybe it's providing you their experience. Maybe it is offering devil's advocate, so a counterpoint to something you've been thinking about. Maybe it's helping you with the legwork of like seeking out people who have the perspective that you need to see. But it's only through that 2 heads are better than one mentality that you can get that support to be yourself at your best and leveling up. And then probably most importantly, your squad is going to help boost your productivity by helping you laugh until you cry. There is powerful productivity behind a really good, deep gut laugh. And so making sure we're around people that we enjoy, who encourage us to have fun, that make life better, that is super important and powerful. Now, we can all admit that during a global pandemic, it's been a little challenging to make sure that we are fully engaging with our squad and making sure that we're receiving that love and support and laughing and up-leveling and really pushing us to be our best self. So I want us to collaborate and brainstorm. Can you put into the chat any ideas that you have for how have you been engaging with your squad during these quarantine times where we are safer at home? So Sarah was asking, what's the ideal number of squads? I think that depends on your needs, your energy fueling. So for example, I find that introverts will typically have a closer knit circle that they're able to fuel energy back and forth with those individuals a little differently than some of us who are extroverts that get a little more enthusiastic the more we speak and interact with people. So it also, I find that for those of us who are multi-passionate, we may have sort of niches that fall within those different passions. And my closest knit squad, though, are other multi-passionate people with whom I am able to talk about the struggle behind the juggle and kind of that how I focus on work-life integration when I can't be everywhere at once. And oh my gosh, so many great ideas brainstorming on here. Paula, welcome to North Carolina. We are so excited you've started with NAWBO Greater Raleigh as your squad. And we have lots of wonderful women here. And I know Wendy is actually on the Zoom, and she is our point person for the peer groups, which is a NAWBO benefit for Premier members, where you can be in a small group setting with other NAWBO Greater Raleigh members to collaborate and share experiences and build that support group. And so I think a NAWBO peer group might be a great place to start with building your squad here in North Carolina. And oh yes, Debbie, that weekly Zoom call with your tribe is a fantastic touch point. And for some of us, seeing ourselves on the screen is a major distraction. So I'm seeing more and more of my clients that will shut down their self view so that they can focus on the people with whom they're sharing energy and ideas and conversation. So making sure that you're using the tool to its best benefit. Oh yes, Sarah mentioned the peer groups. Fantastic. Thank you very much. And I will also say we've sort of started a mini mastermind type experience. Every Tuesday at noon, NAWBO National does a lunch and learn experience. And so some of us are meeting, that happens from noon to 1, free to NAWBO members, so you don't have to worry about any added expense. And then we as NAWBO members come together at 2 to kind of debrief and talk about what we learned during the noon lunch and learn. So it's a great growing group of energy and exchange of ideas and building off that. And oh, Penny, I love the idea of dropping off surprises that your squad understands and that are kind of insider things. So that's fantastic, the just us element of that. And oh yes, Renee, we are all about the virtual birthday parties these days. And I love a toast from afar. So I've got a group where we all get the same kind of bottle of wine. And so we're all drinking the same bottle together, but from our own household. So great idea. Erica, Zoom brunch. I've got a friend who we have been friends since we were both 3 years old, and we still do brunch together regularly, even over Zoom. So it can work no matter what the circumstances are. Oh yes, I love the walkie-talkie app. That's yes, absolutely. Walkie-talkie, like where you do an outdoor walk, where you're talking to one another, so you're getting your vitamin D, you're getting your exercise. Absolutely, multitasking as simultasking, Wendy. So you're knocking out multiple things, and that is work-life integration at its best, because you're achieving that community connection with your friend, and you are getting exercise for your self-care and your mind, body, spirit, vitamin D. Win, 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 win. I love that. Slack chats, texting. Oh, so many good things. Yes. Oh, I love this. And yes, Alala, memes are always a good smile, especially when my introverted friends are sending me that smile from afar over text message. So many great ideas. Oh, y'all are fantastic. Thank you for all those great brainstorming ideas. Now, number 6 on our productivity power plays. Our mind is meant to be managed, including ideas and attitude alike. Anybody here a business owner that has an overflowing amount of ideas in your brain? I think that is a signature move for so many of my entrepreneur friends where we're just at the whim of whatever pops up next into our mind because we want to do it all the things. Our business can be big, bad, bodacious, fantastic, doing all the things, and we have 1,440 minutes in the day. So, step one, where we are managing our mind, is to capture all those ideas somewhere. Maybe it's a note in Evernote that's, or OneNote or Google Keep that's just a running list of ideas. Maybe it's a 3-ring binder or a spiral notebook or a journal where each morning, as part of your morning routine, you get out and you write all those big business ideas for conquering the world. But then as you capture all those ideas, I want you to pick one priority for focus, one at a time. They're all going to be there. You're not burning that notebook or deleting the note in your electronic tool, but you start somewhere. Start with the one, knowing you can attack something else next, and then set a timer. 60 days, 3 months, a year, whatever you think is a realistic, knowing yourself, knowing your market, knowing your business, what's a realistic time frame to attack that priority? Now, as you're attacking it, I want you to track your metrics. What are you doing with that priority to move it towards your goal? Like, how are you moving forward? Because if you're not tracking it, number one, you'll never know if it's actually worth the time to continue, or you're just bored and ready to move on to the next thing. And then revisit those other ideas when you hit your set goals for the priority you had chosen. They're still there. And, maybe once a month you're revisiting that ideas list and things aren't progressing with the priority you chose, so you're going to pivot. It's okay to pivot, but capture, organize, attack. So you're capturing the ideas in a list, you're organizing into the current priority or later priorities, and then you're attacking it with measured metrics, and you're showing where you want to be headed with it so that you actually know if it's working or not. But it's not just about those ideas that are overflowing. There's a lot more going on up here. The pings, the dings, the distractions, the other conversations, all the things that pull us away from what really deserves our attention. The key is these steps right here. Number one, stop multitasking. Turn off the notifications. Do you need to know immediately every email you get? Do you need to see that preview pop up in the lower corner of your screen every time you get a new email? Do you need to know whenever you're tagged in a photo on social media? Do you need to know immediately every text? Probably not. So, couple of options. Number one, set specific times to check in with those communication channels. And then when it's head down time to work, block them out. Also, set up VIPs. So for example, if you're helping take care of your mother, then she gets to be a VIP and override the do not disturb settings. Or if you have a child in school or daycare, well, maybe the school or daycare gets set up as a VIP, so when they call, it overrides your do not disturb. But keep in mind, on average, when we are distracted, so a pop-up, a ping, a ding, somebody knocks on the door, the phone rings, you get an email pop-up, all those things, it takes on average 3 to 8 minutes to refocus. The average American worker is interrupted 11 times an hour. Best case scenario, you're interrupted and distracted 11 times. You lose 3 minutes per distraction. That's 33 of your 60 minutes gone right off the bat. But worst case scenario, statistics show that if you are deep in thought, you're working diligently on a big project and something distracts you, it can take 23 minutes to refocus. 23 minutes to refocus. So like you were writing a proposal, you had all your thoughts together, you were putting it into play, big money coming in based off this proposal, and then the phone rings and your thought process is gone. 23 minutes to refocus. So instead of bleeding minutes, stop the multitasking, turn off the notifications, and really give yourself an opportunity to focus on what has earned your attention, those higher priority functions and tasks. Second, focus on what you can control. There's a lot going on in the world. And so if we are in work mode, but we've got Clubhouse alerts coming on, tweets coming across about censoring and all the things, we're never able to actually focus on what we can get done. So as you're blocking out those notifications, be sure to schedule time for those things that are pulling your brain away. And then that way, when you're focused on what's most important, you can silence those distractions by saying, not now, you have time for my attention later. Not now, you have time for my attention later. Oh yes, Wendy, sometimes just shutting down the Outlook unless you are actively processing those emails is one of the most powerful tools for productivity that you can do. It's truly amazing what a little focus can gift us. As you are being present and you are focusing on the things that have earned your attention, make sure that you are aligning your actions with your goals. We talked about this before of making sure you're avoiding the shoulds and you're strategically investing your time in your goals for work-life integration. Well, if you don't, if you are focusing in on those shoulds, or you are showing up at meetings just to be seen, or you're investing your time in things because you've always done them, that's typically where burnout comes into play. And we don't want any of you being burnt out. We want you being powerhouses and knocking out your big, hairy, audacious goals. So avoid the burnout by aligning your actions with your goals. And then lastly, when you are in conversation, when you are collaborating, communicating, checking in with your team, make sure that you are listening for understanding rather than thinking of what your next response is going to be. The more that you're engaged in the understanding and that active listening portion of it, the more you'll actually be engaged in the conversation and you'll take away more benefit from it. Does anyone know what this spells out on your screen right now? Any ideas? Close, Wendy. Anybody else? You've got the first 3 letters right. Attitude, Carlitha, you got it. And here is the most interesting thing about attitude. If you look at the numbers that spell out those letters, so 1 plus 20 plus 20 plus 9 plus 20 plus 21 plus 4 plus 5, it actually adds up to 100. So I've been doing some mindset work lately. And I'm discovering through the research and exercises that so many of us as business owners invest about 90% of our time in the doing and the strategic thinking and the either working on or in the business, but only about 10% of our time working on our mindset, getting ourselves right for achieving what we're trying to accomplish. But when you think about the power and importance of our attitude, it really deserves 100% effort to get us the right attitude to make sure that we're optimizing each day. So, my challenge to you is put that mindset work or build into your day a routine that helps with your attitude, your mental health, your real perspective so that you're able to optimize your productivity. Number 7 of our productivity power plays is to centralize the operations related to all elements of your life. That means work, that means home, that means community and society, and that means your mind, body, and spirit. Making sure that it is streamlined and that your tools are working for you. So here's the beauty of it. There are a gazillion tools out there. I don't care whether you have an Android and you're looking on the Google Play Store or you're using an iPhone and you're looking on the App Store. It's truly amazing how many tools are out there to help you. But my challenge for you as we make sure that we're streamlining is ask yourself, how can you use fewer tools that do more? How can you use fewer tools that do more? Maybe it's a CRM that incorporates bookkeeping and project management and integrates with your information and knowledge management tool. Maybe it is a tool that will automate the process so that when you enter it somewhere, it shows up somewhere else. I have a very powerful and robust list that is available complimentary on organizeforsuccess.com/resources. So feel free to go in and play around there, but it is by no means a comprehensive list of all the tools out there. It is a list of tools that I have used myself or clients have used with my help that we have found helpful, productive, successful in boosting productivity. There's no way to stay on top of every tool that's out there, but that's part of what I do. Clients bring me in, we look at their systems, we look at their needs, we look at their personality, and I do that research so that we collaborate for the best tools that meet your needs. With this question in mind, how can you use fewer tools that do more? Now, I am going to highlight one of those gazillion tools because I like to call Zapier the duct tape of the internet. And the reason I heard that when I was on a training call, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's brilliant, because it really is. Zapier works so that something happens on this tool, this application, this website, whatever, and something else automatically happens. So maybe a client completes an online survey with SurveyMonkey, and it automatically feeds into my CRM to create a new client. Or somebody gets tagged in a photo on social media, and then it automatically adds it to their Google Photos. Or the temperature drops to a certain degree, and their Nest thermostat does something. Or every morning the clock says 5 a.m. and they get a text message of that day's weather. The beauty is you set it and forget it. So you tell it which tools you want to do what and speak to each other. And then how you want your life to flow automatically. It's truly amazing. Now, does Zapier integrate every platform out there in every way imaginable? No. However, I have been pleasantly surprised by the breadth and depth of all of the different functions that it duct tapes together. So now, there was a question earlier about, does Evernote integrate with Asana? Or does Evernote integrate with project management tools? And so you will find a lot of apps already do this, speaking to one another naturally. But Zapier gives you that bridge for ones that don't automatically speak to one another. And it opens up this whole new toolbox of amazing ways to customize what you need to get the greatest results for your specific workflows and your specific needs. There was a song that has been famous for years by Three Dog Night that talks about one is the loneliest number. Well, I would challenge you to think of one as the most powerful number for your productivity. If there is a way for you to have tools speak to one another, or you streamline your systems enough so you have viewpoint in one place for what information is needed, then you're not wasting your time looking in multiple places. Or worse yet, wondering where that information is that you need. Is your to-do list on the Post-it note, or the meeting notes, or the napkin that you wrote on in the drive-through line, or the tablet that you jotted something down in beside the phone, or whatever? Having that one place to capture the information so it's viewed together, so you always know where to find what you need, saves you time, not only with finding what you need, but not losing information that you need. Whether it be your to-do list, that running data dump of all your tasks, or maybe it's your contact information. So maybe your Google contacts sync with your Outlook, which syncs up to your phone. So when you make a change in one place, it shows up in all of them. That way you're not having to duplicate efforts or have things fall through the cracks. Maybe you have one password management tool that syncs up between your devices so that you always have the passwords needed, easily accessible when you need them. Maybe it's being able to view all the individual electronic calendars in one place to make sure you don't double book yourself or forget about an appointment, or somebody else booked you for something that you didn't even know you got booked for. Maybe it is making sure that you have a place to store that knowledge, that information that you're going to reference later. Maybe it's making sure that the naming conventions are consistent across all of your filing. Maybe it's those planning sessions we talked about, having one weekly strategy session that's maintained with one daily wrap up or check up from the neck up each day. But the power of one viewpoint, having things talk to one another and not duplicating or things falling through the cracks, is hugely powerful for boosting your productivity. And then last, but certainly not least, number 8 is make room for joy, particularly celebrating the small things. One thing that has come up repeatedly with my clients over the past year is how we have been able in this environment with adjusted schedules and adjusted planning and adjusting locations to really appreciate those small rituals that we build into each day. We talked about routines before, but maybe certain routines are really rituals that you celebrate and you look forward to and you really use as a tool to fuel you, fill your cup, make sure that you're the best that you can be, because you can't pour from an empty cup. I know, that's a worn out saying and everybody says, oh, everybody always says that. But everybody says it for a reason. You can't pour from an empty cup. And we as business owners are in such demand from employees, neighbors, family members, vendors, clients, all the people. But you have nothing to give to them if you haven't given to yourself first. So this video is actually an example of a morning ritual that my client set up, that we actually listed out each of the steps: the happy light for the vitamin D, the journal, the coffee, the gas logs, the opening up the windows to let in that fresh Detroit snow view and morning light. And yes, she's got a 7-year-old daughter that she's homeschooling. And yes, she has a husband that's working from home. And yes, there's a lot going on, but she understands the priority of, if she doesn't fill her cup up first, she can't be of any benefit to them. There is no giving if there's nothing to give. And I think one of the most important things for us as business owners is making sure that we value short bursts of things. So for example, we may not always have an hour to go and do a spa day, or a time for a facial or pedicure or whatever, but we have 5 minutes to do deep breathing. Or we can, I have a client who, the kids sit down for Paw Patrol. That's the only show that they're allowed to watch, but they sit down for Paw Patrol, and that's her couple of minutes to be able to have a hot tea, do some deep breathing, journal her gratitude, and then she's ready to hit the ground running. Yes, Sarah, the moving, balancing that need for paper versus electronic and trying to figure out what meets our needs is, I think it's an ever evolving challenge, and making sure that we're evolving for it. But knowing what tools work for us, surrounding ourselves with the tools that are going to nurture us and fill our needs and actually fuel our desired outcomes is such an important thing to do. And knowing what's going to fill your cup, whether it's 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or an hour, and actually putting that on your calendar, because every what that has a win is more likely to get accomplished. So what will you invest your time in? What will you choose has earned your time going forward? Now, I've shared a ton of information over the past hour and a half, and I want to give you a moment to write down something specific that you will use to boost your productivity. Again, every what that has a win is more likely to be accomplished. So of the things we covered, I do not want you to implement everything. Let me repeat that. I do not want you to implement everything. I want you to pick like 1, 2, 3, 4 of the things that I've mentioned and say, okay, I'm going to start that by this date. And be specific so that, number one, you can hold yourself accountable to it, but you can also give yourself the grace necessary for being real in a real world with a lot of real things that are happening around us. And we are all human beings. So what are those 2, 3 things that you can realistically implement, and by when will you get them accomplished? I'm going to give you a couple minutes to jot that down, but would anybody like to share their takeaways, or does anybody have any questions for me? I left lots of time for your questions.
Emily?
Yes.
It's Erica. Can I ask a question?
Absolutely. Please, please, please.
When you were talking about time blocking, and I've heard people, and I do this myself, but I just want to know, when it comes to like setting an ideal week, what are your thoughts about that, and how does time blocking play into that?
So there are typically a couple of ways to look at that ideal week idea. So you could pick a theme for each of your days. So you could have like Tuesday and Thursday are client days, and then Monday is strategic planning, and Friday is admin and organization, and Wednesday might be your networking and business development. Erica, tell me a little bit about your company.
So I work with budding entrepreneurs in a project management system to make sure that all their goals are really chunked down into actionable steps so that they can move forward in what they need to get accomplished.
Fantastic. So yes, something like that where you have client days, you have office days, you have business development days, you have like admin days, you have organizing days, something like that could work. However, I will say that most of my clients, rather than having assigned days, they typically target their energy zones. So for example, if you know you're a morning person, then maybe you don't take appointments in the morning that can be done with lower energy. You focus your mornings on the priority tasks that need you at your best, and you start your day with what is going to require that energy and might be the most important. In the productivity world, we call that swallow the frog. So if you get it out of the way first thing in the morning, it's not weighing on you throughout the day. However, if you have your optimum energy at the end of the day, instead of swallow the frog where you start with your most important things, maybe you schedule time on your calendar when your energy is at your peak later for those priorities, and you follow the emphasis of what we call activity breeds activity. And so you have your day structured so that your earlier parts of the day are more of those easy wins that kind of build your energy towards the time blocks later in the day where you're going to focus on your more challenging work. Did that help answer your question?
Yes.
If not, we can dig deeper.
Yes, there was a deeper question, but I'll let anybody else ask questions first and I'll come back if need be.
I don't see anybody right off with a question. I was looking at, oh wait, okay. So Julie Navarra, how can I know what tools work best for me without doing a trial of each one? Okay, so there is an assessment that is linked from the resources page that I told you about before. It is called Time and Space Style Inventory. The Time and Space Style Inventory, or TSSI, will provide you with your personality related to time. So deadlines, working, like jumping between projects versus working long periods of time, super focused on something, your time personality, as well as your space personality. So do you need things out and visible as reminders for things? Or do you need things hidden in a drawer because out is going to be a distraction and visual clutter? And so the Time and Space Style Inventory will give you some of the parameters for what types of tools that you need. And then it's a matter of looking at the descriptions of the available tools to figure out which one hits those priorities for you. Also, number 2 is look at the screenshots or look on YouTube for a training video about any of the apps that pique your interest. Because if the screenshots don't speak to you, you're not going to use the tool. It doesn't matter what the functionality is. If it doesn't feel good when you're using it, we are humans. We will take the path of least resistance, and we are highly driven by emotions. So if the tool gets us in our emotions in a negative way, we're going to retreat in a different direction. So make sure you're looking at the screenshots or the YouTube videos to see what speaks to you and what you will actually use. And then third is feel free to reach out to me and we can kind of brainstorm which tools might be a best fit for you. So absolutely, positively, I love tech tools. And I love the discussion of, am I a paper person or am I an electronic person? Because I get a lot of people that call me up and go, well, my best friend or my colleague or this other business owner said I should be using this, but I really just like my notebook. or I like my notepad, or I like whatever I was using before. Well, if it's working, that's a good thing. We like to use things that are working and going to move us forward. So make sure you're sticking with what works for you. And Julie, let me know if that did not answer or was not helpful. Oh, Wendy, I'm so glad you're going to play around with Zapier. It's an amazing tool. Okay, Holly, I work in an environment where I get a lot of people who want to pitch things for me to purchase. Oh, yes, whether it's an app or advertising or services. And so you've made a rule a couple of years ago that vendor day would be Wednesday from 10 to 2. Oh, yes, yes, yes. So you've assigned the day to that topic and blocked off time for it. And all of those meetings have to go within that. Fantastic. That is a huge success story, because if every Wednesday is a new opportunity for them to pitch you, it's not like they're waiting weeks and weeks and months and years to be able to have one of those pitch days. So if your vendor day is on Wednesdays from 10 to 2, you've got that rotation. That's fantastic. Penny, switching meal prepping and house chores to evenings when you have decision fatigue. Yes, absolutely. Those are things that can happen when you're not at your peak. Like, you don't need your optimum mental awareness to be able to do the laundry. So that's fantastic. That works perfectly. And Holly, I also spend the first 30 minutes of my day each day checking my calendar and making sure I don't have more than 5 tasks a day. Yay! I do have clients that will actually use a 3x5 index card for that day's 3 to 5 action items. It works really well if you just like tape it to the corner of your laptop, or you have it on your desktop so it's a visual cue throughout the day of what those 3 to 5 items are. Or I also have a client that each day she updates her screen background with that day's 3 to 5 action items. So it's kind of like every time she picks up her phone, rather than diving into an app or hopping on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, she's reminded of that day's must-dos. And so, oh, wait, I'm not going to go to social media till I get these knocked out. It's a great regrouping, refocusing thing. Oh, thank you, everybody. I love to see that things are resonating and you're putting things together and implementing stuff. Oh, yes, family dinner on Sundays. And Holly, I will say, so family dinner on Sundays, that's a great time to talk through the week coming up with all the kids and make sure everybody knows where everybody's going and who's taking whom to what destination and how the moving parts are going to keep moving in sync and synergy with one another. Sarah, yes, making sure that you have those appointments with yourself for that desk time, because every what that has a win is more likely to get accomplished. Oh, yes, notability, fantastic. Oh, yay, Renee. Yes, more joy. Stop dreading those least fun tasks. So even consider, Renee, what can you automate so the technology does those least fun tasks for you? Or what can you delegate so that maybe somebody else is doing it, whether it be Sweeps, which is the local organization that employs college students to help do functions for people. Like, I hired a sweeper to hang Christmas lights for a client, or I've had a sweeper come in and move a desk for a client. They had to break down the desk, move it to the other office and rebuild it. They do yard work, they do grocery shopping. It's sort of amazing. But we also have a Consider It Done, which is one of our corporate, or which is one of our members here for NAWBO Greater Raleigh, that also offers concierge services. So that's a great way to get some of those less fun tasks off of your to-do list and onto someone else. Oh, so many wonderful wins, yay! And building joy in throughout the day is such a great way to stay fueled, stay focused, and stay energized to do what needs your greatest attention. Olala, I start every day with one non-negotiable item. I focus on that one thing. Then if there's energy and time, I shift to other goals. Yes, because then you're not getting to the end of the day and thinking, I am such a failure. I didn't do the 100 things on my to-do list. No, you're a success because you got done the thing that mattered most. And that is going to move you forward on your goals. Cornella, I have many students or potential business owners tapping me. I use Friday for those short 30-minute meetings. Yes, Monday is your day to get the most of the paperwork done, and Sunday is your day of rest. Absolutely. Fantastic. Thomas, the not good at being able to turn it off for a day. Got to work on that. Maybe not. Maybe it's not turning it off for a day. Maybe it's turning it off for an hour. Maybe it's turning it off for 30 minutes. Start with whatever is manageable and then build that muscle memory. It's actually the same thing with students and virtual learning. I have a client whose daughter has ADHD, and the daughter is checking in with her like every 5 minutes. And so we have set a time timer. We started with 10 minutes. And so the daughter was told, don't come see mommy until this time timer goes off. Then we built it up to 15 minutes and then 30 minutes. So you can do the same thing with yourself. Like, can I step away from my devices until this timer goes off? And just build up that muscle memory for however long works for you and as a benefit to step away and engage in something joyful or focus on a top energy priority task that you really need to dive into. Oh, Sarah, yes, you're speaking my love language with outsourcing. It's amazing what having a team helps you with. Now, so many people come to me and they think when I say team, I mean employees. Well, the beauty of being a business owner is your team goes way beyond your employees. So your team could include your housekeeper. Your team could include the Amazon Prime person that delivers your groceries or the Instacart delivery person. That's part of your team. They're helping you get things done. Maybe your team includes the person that helps take your kids to and from things, or your nanny, or maybe your team includes your spouse or your roommate or your kids or anyone that is helping you accomplish your goals is part of your team, and making sure that you are utilizing all those available resources is super hugely important. Oh, I'm glad that was helpful. So Erica, chat's calmed down. Let's get back to what you were talking about time blocking and days and things like that. Dig deeper with your question for me.
So I guess the question was, people say that ideal weeks, you should set an ideal week. And then they say, well, time blocking is great. And for me, the ideal week is stagnant, and then your time blocking can be sort of flexible. So how do they marry together?
So when I bring on a new client for one of my packages, the first thing we do are a set of personality assessments and a face-to-face assessment. And we go through not only what you're trying to accomplish, but your personality. So the time and space style inventory is a great tool in that. The Enneagram is a great tool in that. The Myers-Briggs is a great tool in that. That VARK learning style we were talking about before is a great tool in that. Once you know yourself, then you can pair the solution with what you're trying to accomplish. Ideal week might not be for you. It might be time blocking. It might be that every week is going to look a little differently depending on which element of your life needs the emphasis that week. And that's okay, because I gave 8 productivity power plays because they can be adjusted in ways to match your goals with who you are, who your personality is, how you deal with time, how you deal with other people, communication, whether you're an extrovert, introvert, thinker. All these things play into, is it time blocking? Is it swallow the frog versus activity breeds activity? It depends on what works for you, and making sure that you've customized the solutions for your specific needs.
Thank you. That's how I felt, but I felt like I was the only one that felt that way. So I just needed to hear somebody else's thoughts on it. So I love that. I appreciate it. And you have been awesome today. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I will admit, one of my favorite things about my job is that no 2 days are the same. And I'm not alone in that. The more business owners with whom I work, the more I realize we have a trait that some of us multi-passionate people have this trait where we like for every day to be a little different. And that's not a bad thing. That's actually a good way to make sure that we are investing each day in what earns that day's time. You have 1,440 minutes in each day. You cannot spend any of those minutes more than once. So what has earned that minute of your day? Anybody else? Oh, y'all are so awesome. Thank you so much for engaging. And Carlitha, yes, the presentation is being recorded, and when you receive the follow-up email from NAWBO Greater Raleigh that will include the survey to provide feedback, there will also be a link to download the recording from the presentation. So, excellent. Oh, right. Yes, I'm not alone on the wanting different days to every day to be a little different. That's a good thing. I'm glad that all of this was helpful. And truly, if you have any follow-up questions, I'm available. I am going to put my email in the chat, and feel free to reach out to me with any additional questions, needs, concerns, brainstorming, whatever. Thank you all so much. I hope this was helpful.
Thank you, Emily. This was wonderful. Before you run off, we got some good things if you're not aware of it. So Wendy, can I call on you to share a little bit about the peer groups and I'll share the rest of the wonderful things we're doing. So I'll hand it over to you, Wendy.
Sure. We have 3 peer groups, and we are looking at creating another one. I know there are a couple people who have submitted applications that I am in the process of processing, but peer groups are somewhere between 8 and 12 NAWBO members, premier members, I believe. We get together typically once a month to talk about things we're dealing with our business. And it's a great way to get out of our head and to get feedback from people who are in different businesses, and the breadth of perspective, ideas, and support that you get in them are wonderful. So if you are interested in joining a peer group, feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my email in chat. I think there's also stuff on the website as well. Carnella?
Wonderful. Thank you, Wendy. We appreciate all that you do in the committee with Janice. Who's not a member that's on today? Can I see hands of people that's not a member? Debbie, okay. And Paula, anybody else? Okay, is Carlitha still on? There she is. Carlitha, can you give a quick blurb for those that are not members? And then I have some fabulous stuff I want to share with you that I need you to do like ASAP. So hold one second. Go ahead, Carlitha.
Yes, hello everybody, and absolutely we are excited about the 2 of you who aren't members who've joined today, and we hope that you can have just gotten just a snippet of the value that comes with being a NAWBO member. We have some incredible educational sessions, business luncheons, workshops, incredible members, just the interaction and the sharing. You've experienced it here today. We certainly want to encourage you to become a NAWBO Greater Raleigh member. This is just a snippet, but there's so much more that you can. I know that we're in these COVID times, and to a large extent, we're limited to the Zoom calls, but you see that the value is not diminished by Zoom. When you come and you're all in, you continue to get so much value. We are going to be having, starting next month in March and April, we'll be having a membership drive. We certainly would love for you to come and join us, and if I can get I'll see if I can get your email addresses, and I can reach out to you. I'd love to be able just to share with you more information about the value that does come with being a NAWBO member. And we hope that you would entertain becoming a member. We'd love to have you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Carlitha. Before I tell you what I really need from you, can we give Emily a round of applause? Because that was excellent.
Thank
Emily.
you all so much. I appreciate y'all engaging and hope this was helpful for you.
It was excellent. Thank you. Thank you. So we have next month is the Connections and Conversation. Every second Wednesday, keep me honest, team. Second Wednesday at 9 a.m. I know Sarah and Wendy and a lot of people are involved already. And I'm telling you, and Tom was on the last one. I jumped in and they're having fabulous conversation. It's member exclusive. Is that right? Am I reading that right? Okay. And so for those that are not members, this is a great time to meet other business owners and expand your business. So that's wonderful. We also have our Young Entrepreneurs event. We're going to need mentors and coaches. We're coming back to you on that. Pay attention to your emails. Check spam. Make sure that you're getting everything. Bank of America wants to talk to everybody and give you some updates on the PPP. We tentatively have that plan for March the 5th. We may have to adjust it. Also have Congress. They're going to come and talk to us about business owners in a great time for you to ask questions. So I need you to send me questions that you want to ask Congress when they come on. We're going to have a town hall meeting. Right now, it was scheduled for the end of March. We moved it to April 7th. And so we're trying to adjust that time, but it's a great time for you to come on and say, hey, where do we stand? All these things are happening. We need your help. And by the way, we got some things we want you to take back. So please send it to NABO Greater Raleigh. We need your questions because that's what they're asking me for. What questions your group have? What questions does the organization have as a whole? So I need your questions and I need them like ASAP. Okay, that's one thing. Last thing before I get off, well, two last things. One, don't forget, March is Wealth and Wellness is our March meeting, and we haven't posted it, but just go ahead and sign up. Just go ahead and sign up. We have some wonderful people because we're going to talk about your mindset. We're going to talk about depression and heaviness during this season and all the things. We got to be true with ourselves as business owners, and we need to talk about that. One of the health organizations is going to be on with us. I can't say yet because they told me don't release it just yet. So, and then we're going to have a wonderful counselor on the group too. So I'm excited about this March event. So get ready for that. And then last, what we really need your help. It's not me. We're a team and we're a family. We have corporations that are asking for information on you, not in a bad way. This is a good thing, okay? They have opportunities for you, and we owe them that information. But guess what? Many of you have not updated your profile. Emily and I was on a call last week, and Duke Energy said, we're looking for somebody that does document shredding and document services. And Emily was like, I think I got somebody. And I was like, I think I got somebody. But think about it. They said they have a lot of other opportunities coming up. But I don't have time to go through everybody's name and put what you do in the list. Can I just tell you that? I just don't have time. There's too many of us. So I need you, forgive me for dropping that. I need you to go to your profile. And I know Alala has said this in the past, and I think she had to drop. Go to your profile in NABO. It's not just Duke Energy locally, but especially in this virtual world, national is sometimes looking for members to give opportunities. If you have not updated your NABO profile, please do so like immediately. I am overdue for sending the list to Duke Energy, but I looked at the list and I was embarrassed because I was like, profiles aren't updated. So please do that. Hey, Sandy.
Quick question. So I don't know how that's shown up, but should we be thinking about keywords? Like, is there a way that you search the profiles, or how can we make it easier for you, I guess is my question.
You can make it easy by updating it.
Okay.
Because a lot of them are not even, a lot of them only have your website and your name. It has no description. I know when you filled it out, when you started, you said, I'm gonna come back because it's long. I need you to go do it. That's honest, because I know I did the same thing. I said, I'm gonna come back to this. I don't have time to fill out all of this right now. But to be honest, you're missing opportunities. We are missing opportunities. And they come to us because they trust and rely on what we provide to them. And it's not to sell your information, it's to get you opportunities. And this is a great time. I'm gonna stop in my preaching moment. So please go ahead and update your information. Do it like ASAP, because we got to get that list over to them. They're asking, and I kind of delayed it because I was embarrassed. Emily, you want to share anything? Wonderful. So stay tuned. We got a lot of fabulous stuff. You have not seen rest of the things that we're going to do as we wrap up this year and go into our next year. So I just wanted to share that with you. I thank you for today. We are happy and grateful for all that you're doing. Keep sharing the word, keep passing the word about NAWBO Greater Raleigh, because we are doing wonderful things and you have not seen it all yet. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thanks, y'all. Have a wonderful Wednesday.